Good morning, everyone. Dignitaries on the dais, Commissioner Frank Avia, Dr. Prakasham, Kalyan, Mr. Bhuvanesh, Hari Chandana, distinguished speakers and participants of the conference. I must actually confess to a slight trepidation when I was called upon to chair this meeting today by Dr. Prakasham, who is a very old friend of mine. Old not in that sense, but just we go long back. I now head the elections department of the state, and I am in no way concerned with the environment and water and wastewater management issues, though I was till about a year back heading that department. However, coming to a fruitful and productive conference like this is always a learning opportunity, so I agreed to come here and learn from you. So, first of all, I must thank the Commissioner and his team of senior officers, all distinguished people sitting in the second row, surprisingly, not in the first row, for coming here and agreeing to share your experiences with us. See, the whole thing is that I personally believe that environmental issues in general and water, wastewater management or sanitation issues, because I think it's out of fashion to call it wastewater right now, if I heard one of the speakers right, is actually a marker of our economic stage, of our growth. Country after country has grown economically, and more like focus and more relevant solution in these issues of environmental concerns have come about. In India, economic growth has been rapid since the mid-80s actually, and it has taken up. We have now become officially the fastest growing country in the world in the last 4-5 years, 3 years or so. More because China is suffering with some woes inside. And I don't know how sustainable our growth thing will be, because we have promised much in the past and never really taken off. But I think the winds of irrevocable change in our growth trajectory are there for us to see. And with that, the focus on environment, which has been witnessed in many countries. If you look at the United States of America, I was doing a course at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology about the evolution of water and sanitation practices over the world, all over the world. Around the turn of the last century, around 1900, America used to be somewhat similar situation as us. The outbreak of cholera in New York in the 1910s and all that, brought about a transformational sort of concerted effort, and which was kind of deepened during the years subsequent to the great crisis in 1929. The New Deal saw a lot of works on water and sanitation being taken up, and then from there on today, there are a lot of good practices that we can learn from in America. In India also, we have reached a stage where we are transitioning. The Prime Minister's call for Swachh Bharat means Clean India, is probably a cry just in time. The aspirations of the people are, such that now there needs to be a policy. It's a policy imperative to address that. Our achievements have been fairly good. Hyderabad, Chandana, we have declared it ODF++. What does the plus mean? Oh, so we've done more than ODF. Good. I'm happy to learn that. But there is a lot more that needs to be done. There's a lot more that needs to be done. As a universal goal, we have taken this, one of the Sustainable Development Goals is to have universal access to water and sanitation by 2030. And according to some projections, some states in India are going to reach that 100 years later, 2130. If I'm not mistaken, states like Madhya Pradesh and Orissa, the so-called central belt of India, the Indian heartland, which is somewhat more behind the rest of the country in some respects, are going to reach these goals according to current, if situation is normal and as we go forward as it is, we are going to reach this goal of sanitation and water for everyone, clean water for everyone in the middle of the next century, which is terrible. So there is a great need to sort of, address these shortcomings in our implementations, shortcomings, the technology gaps and all. And to that end, I think the MOU that Dr. Prakasham, I'm sure you have been the driver behind it, and also Commissioner Frank Avia, the team members here, have actually so well and carefully crafted, is a great step forward. We need these kind of MOUs. We have had it now for 2 years, right? 2017, June or July, it was done. I was the Forest and Environment Secretary at that time. I remember Kalyan coming to me and being very excited about it. But I don't know what has been, how we have put it to practice till now. So I request the Director General of EPTRI now to actually, this workshop, rather than, just listening, it should not be just a passive reception and an interaction. But you must identify certain steps, concrete steps to operationalize this. What can be the concrete steps? What do you think we can do? Anything? Yeah, why not? Otherwise, people will get bored of me talking for too long. You can talk in the mic.
So, one of the things that I was really hoping out of this conference, sir, is that today we have a number of river stretches which are critically polluted, and some of the lakes which are on the verge of eutrophication. And our engineers are here. We are represented both by GHMC, HMWSSB, and HMDA. And we are trying to create an action plan. In fact, NEEDI is also here. And we are hoping that with the help of the experts who are here, the action plans that we have for rejuvenating of these rivers and lakes can be modified, made more realistic. And also we hope to make this interaction more permanent in terms of getting their expertise in order to make our action plan for rejuvenation realistic and sustainable. So we are hoping to create that platform where our engineers in the field and the scientists and the best minds here get a platform to interact and work with each other in finalizing those action plans, sir.
Is there a session plan for that?
Yes.
Is there an interactive session plan for that?
Yes.
Yeah, because a mile of intentions doesn't really equal an inch of action. So while the workshop is very welcome, sir,
Yes.
we need to get down to action. You want to say something, sir? Thank you very much. So I would like to get that inch of action here, Kalyan, really speaking. Chandana, you mentioned about the city and all that. I know you are doing good work on the sanitation front and all that. There are huge challenges here. Sir? Sit. Yeah. Don't be uncomfortable.
No.
Do you foresee anything which you can use this expertise here, this talent available here in this room, people who have traveled, I don't know, thousands of miles? Hopefully not at personal discomforts. Hyderabad is a good city. Some of you may be visiting it for the first time. I don't know if all of you are fond of Indian food, but there is good stuff to purchase here and good sightseeing to do to take some time out. But there is a lot of people who have traveled a long way. I'd be happy if, I chair this session and a couple of productive sessions, productive work, productive, action plans come out of it. Not even action plans, action comes out of it. Tell me what we can do here.
Absolutely, sir. Actually, if you look at some of the experiences which were shared yesterday, Mr. Frank Avila and all were talking to us, Mr. Tata also. So the situation in Chicago 130 years ago is what is similar to Hyderabad right now. in terms of managing water, sanitation, our stormwater, sewer networks, and also most importantly, our water bodies. Kalyan sir just shared that we are a city of water bodies. We have 185 lakes in this city, and all of them are filled with
So anything
sewer.
anything specific that we can finalize today?
Yes, sir. So, yes, sir,
No, I know I've caught you unprepared. Sit down and think for something specific that you can give to this
so
contribution.
we have 20 lakes which we want to take up.
One lake, one lake. Don't do 20. You will not be able to do
We'll
20.
start with one, sir, but
One.
20 across the city.
Good.
So we
So
plan
Hari
to
Chandana
have
promises one lake for you to come and remediate for us.
Okay, done.
Kalyan
Sir,
wants
he
your...
wants more, sir.
No, one would be good to begin with. Do not be too ambitious. Do one. Develop best practices and scale it out. No. You don't select the lake for us. She will select. She's better aware of it. Sit down.
Okay.
For the friends who have come from the US, and I believe from Sweden, Prakasham Garu, some people have come from Sweden. You used to have a caucus operating for you in Sweden, if I remember correctly. All right, Germany. Now, I have a little bit of, what do you say, a suggestion or a point for you also to consider. The problems and challenges that you are facing today in your countries and in your systems are very different from what we are going through. The additional commissioner of GHMC just mentioned that about 100 years back, you had the same problems in Chicago as we are having now. Now, I'm sure none of you worked 100 years back. Anybody who worked 100 years back? Closest is Dr. Prakasham. Even he goes back only 63 years. So, even he will not be able to anticipate the kind of... No, it's a serious thing. It's a serious thing. You know, when I was my academic sabbatical, an exercise, we did what was known as, Harvard has this funny habit of calling simple things by very complicated names. There was a program, there was a course. What was it? It was, the acronym was PDIA. Sorry, but the IA stood for iterative adaptation. So the iterative adaptation, one of the exercises they gave at the beginning was to say, let's say like, a person in America wants to drive from Chicago to, let's say, Florida. And we ask you, what are the things you would need to take? So you talk about your car, your compass and stuff like that. But think about like if you were to drive down from Chicago, or if you were to ask to get from Chicago to Florida in 1800 or whatever, 100 years back is how much now? 200 years back, 1819. You would have a completely set of tools to work with, right? You talk about a horse maybe and feed for the horse and some guns and bullets to protect you from the highway robbers who operated at that time, some cold, stuff like that. Now you would just carry your credit card in the car and a compass or a map or something like that. So the path, the way you plan to cross that thing is there is a time lag and you need to customize your solutions to my problems today. Very often, dialogue between scientists and experts from developed countries with those in the developing countries breaks down, is not fruitful, is not productive, because a lack of understanding of the challenges. So you need to come down to that and customize for anything productive. When you do my remediation, do not think that you are doing a remediation in Mississippi. It's a different river. Remediation of the Ganges, believe me, is a completely different game of ball game than doing it in the United States or in Germany or wherever. So I think that we need to come and customize solutions. No doubt there is a lot to be learned, but there are no ready-made solutions. We need to look at the institutional capacities in India. We need to look at the technologies available, the sustainability of the technologies we introduce. There are many new emerging technologies where we don't have the manpower or the technical capacities to service. O&M, I was just sitting next to Prakasham and he was telling me O&M, operation and maintenance, is the biggest challenge. Any system that you design, unless it is maintained, so whenever we are talking, I mean, I seriously want to throw a challenge to Kalyan to take up one river, which is on your high priority, take a pilot, get those solutions which work here, and then scale it out. I mean, Jesus, he is the head of the national think tank on environment in the country. Doesn't look, he looks much younger than that. But that's what happens when you join the Indian Administrative Service. You shoot up high very fast. So, and Chandana heads the GHMC Corporation, which is, not yet Chicago, but getting there. What's your population now? Over 1 million? Over 10 million? Over 20 million? 20 million? 12, yeah. Yes. And the way you are growing, you will be 20 million and all that pretty soon. So, these are very senior officers here. If they take up, I really request you to kindly, work on one lake remediation thing. I know the Chief Minister of the state is very keen on restoring Hyderabad to its pristine glory. And as I said, we have reached that stage in our growth cycle where, the demands of the voters right now, the aspirations of the people who vote the governments in, have started recognizing good living environments as one of the considerations for judging the government's performance by. So it's become a political imperative. It's become a part of the political agenda in the country. Good time for us to be working towards on sustainable solutions. So I'll stop pontificating now and let you get on with your workshop. Thank you very much. I do really want to thank you from the bottom of my heart to allowing me to participate in a subject and a conference which is very close to my heart. Thanks.